tell your pet what you want for your birthday?
I don't know. I don't have a pet. Are you alright, mate?
You'd give your cat a list.
Yay! Another celebratory noises.
I won't give up the day job. Speaking of which, I'm opening a bourbon company.
That sounds like a whiskey business.
Son of a biscuit.
Oh well, I hate to be all professional, but after last week, I think we've overdosed on the puns, and I think we should get on with the show.
We would look more professional if we did that, yes.
Get your coat.
Why, is it drizzling?
That's it, I'm leaving.
Oh, fine. I've got nothing for Mini Spinny anyway, so I will get on with the show. And for that, I'll need to introduce our guest, and there is only one correct way to introduce our guest roboteer this week, and that is, when I say Greg, you say Catalina. Greg!
Cathalina!
Hi, Greg!
Hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
I was doing great, actually. Thank you.
Did you enjoy Heat 5?
Oh, of course I did. Yeah, it was great to see finally back again after, waiting such a long time. I mean, that's the worst thing about being the final heat. You have to wait for the longest of everybody to see your fight.
Oh. Everybody press F to pay respects to the Heat 5 people.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tough life. Somebody's got to do it.
They do. I mean, to be fair, somebody had to be the first to fight Daedalus as well, and K2. But there we go. We will get straight. We will get straight into the fight. And first up, we have Mini Spinny versus Catalyst. So first, I'm going to bring everyone up to speed about Mini Spinny. See what I did there? Last season, it was built as an homage to PP3D, but this season, it's a new design and doesn't resemble PP3D anymore. Catalyst is built by my other punmeister in crime, James Pearson. Front hinge flipper, reliable, well-driven, and definitely not to be messed with. It tanked a couple of hits from Mini Spinny and then sort of fainted, the cause of which wasn't immediately obvious, but James revealed later in the program that he'd blown a speed controller. I guess that's chemistry, baby. Oh, he's gonna kill me for that one, isn't he, Dale?
Yeah.
What did you think of it, Dale?
Yeah, I liked it for what it was. Unfortunate for Catalyst, but it was good up until the point where it died.
I know, It got maximum overdrive-itis and fainted.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Sam. Greg, did you enjoy this fight?
Yeah, it was a good fight. The thing is with Catalyst, it's as you said, it was a very reliable machine. It's been one of the machines I've always looked up to because it was iterated, quite consistently throughout the years, and also, the shape of it seems perfect to take on a horizontal spinner. So for it to go out as it did against Mini Spinny, I mean, I share the disappointment of James himself. I mean, going into such a fight, you really hope you can put on a better fight than that, and for it to just die on you, that's the worst way to go.
Yeah, it's frustrating, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, but there we go. So Catalyst goes into the redemption melee and Mini Spinny goes on through to the semi-finals. And then we come to Drizzle versus WeeWoo. Now, whatever the thoughts of the builders and drivers in this fight, Shuntcast was delighted that two of their favourite meme heroes went head-to-head. Tom and Sarah were praying Drizzle would self-right and not self-destruct. WeeWoo, having fought Drizzle before recently, is suitably worried about that rather large disc. And oh my god, this fight. Greg, seriously, WeeWoo versus Ogre Drive is probably one of the most memorable matches of season 1. And if this isn't one of the most memorable of season 2, I will eat my own bogies. Seriously. Talk us through it for you.
Basically it started before the fight had even begun because, we'd of course built the new weaponized WeeWoo before the event because we felt after Ogre Drive we needed a way to deal with non-spinner opponents as well. And then we found out that the first round opponent was Drizzle, and well, that was just a huge blow because we thought, oh my god, is there anyone else that we can find in the first round, please? But you also realize that it's not just an event that you're participating in; it's a show, and the shows are all about entertainment. And much like with the fight against Ogre Drive, I mean, it's okay if you lose if you just go down fighting, and I like to think that this fight delivered on that. So, it was I think I was talking to Tom before the fight as well, and we were pretty much in agreement that it's pretty much two of the more theatrical robots out there that went up against each other. So whatever happened, it would probably end up being a show. And well, luckily, it seems that we have succeeded.
Oh, it was. It just. Oh, it was mental. I mean, when I was taking my notes for the Shuntcast, I was like, there's like 20 nominations for the Good Hit Award in this fight alone. Like, how am I going to choose the Good Hit Award? Seriously. Oh my god. I mean, I know it was disappointing for you to get Drizzle as your first opponent, especially after fighting it recently. But oh my goodness, what a show though! Having seen it on post production now, do you feel differently about it now to how you did in the heat of it, shall we say?
Yeah, I mean, in the moment itself, you're of course a bit disappointed that you are going out. But as I said, much like in season 1 against Ogre Drive, if you have to go down, you go down fighting. And we just gave it our best shot, and it wasn't in the cards for us to win. We got him bouncing around the arena multiple times, but Tom has done a great job in improving his machine, and it got onto its back a number of times, and it recovered from a position that in season 1 it would have been unable to recover from. So well done to him to getting it reliable. Of course, it was not to be for us, but it delivered on entertainment, and WeeWoo has always been about that pretty much.
This is true. Dale, I know you've got a pun for this fight. Go on.
Unfortunately, I don't. But I mean, it's a rare serious time. I love Drizzle and WeeWoo, and this is why. It's just mental, like you said. It's brilliant. I love it.
It's so mental you didn't even think of a pun. I'm shocked. Greg, You should take this as a compliment, though.
No, exactly, yeah.
Amazing. So unfortunately, WeeWoo goes into the redemption melee. Drizzle goes on through to the semi-finals. And we come to Bourbon versus Jay. And it's the world's very first Hex Drums. I'm sorry, Rob and J-Mo. I can't resist. So it's Bourbon versus Jay. And despite being a brick, I think Jay's lack of driving experience is what let them down in this fight. Bourbon was aggressive but patient, waited for a nice little nibble on the wheels and kind of executed the plan perfectly. And as a result, Jay goes into the redemption melee and Bourbon goes to the semi-finals. Dale, what did you think of this one?
I thought that the Jay was really unlucky. There we go, that's what it was. Like I say, it's just unfortunate, really, wasn't it? For Jay, anyway.
Greg, what did you think of this one?
Well, in a way, you could already see the writing on the wall that Jay was going to be a brick to be reckoned with. But also, I thought it was a good show from Rob's side that he patiently waited for the right moment to strike, even despite losing his sort of dough cutter wedge. So I think that in the end, even though he said, I think that he lost half his drive because he hadn't mounted half of his drive motors. He hadn't tightened them down at one side, he said, I think.
Yeah.
You can see that it influenced the driving at some point, which makes it really frustrating. As a driver, when you notice that one half of your drive is not coming along as well as it should. So I think he was also relieved, but I can't speak for him. In the end, I think it was also good for him to get the first win under his belt.
Yeah, there was a convincing win as well. Lots of visible damage. Nice. So Jay goes to the redemption melee and Bourbon goes through to the semi-finals. This brings us to the redemption melee, which is Catalyst versus WeeWoo versus Jay. I think James from Catalyst accurately describes this match just perfectly on the show when he calls it a proper ding-dong, which, by the way, has been added to the Shunt posting dictionary. So Spinawee was twatting Catalyst around the arena, although other than the wedgie bit at the front, it was taking the hits pretty well. Jay had a little bit of a tussle with Grab-A-Woo, then Spinawee gyros into the pit, though not before punting Catalyst into the arena ceiling. Catalyst and Grab-A-Woo go head-to-head, and Jay has a nice little scenic tour of the arena. Catalyst gets Grab-A-Woo over a couple of times, but it self-rights nicely. Jay rejoins the battle eventually and wins by survival after Catalyst puts Grab-A-Woo in the pit along with itself. James, you knob. Oh, he loves me, really. I'm allowed to call him a knob. He's my best friend. I'm allowed to. You're a knob too. They always call you a knob.
I know. It's nice to hear.
So what did you think of the fight, knobhead?
Yeah. I thought it a proper ding-dong like James did, you knob.
When I say ding, you say dong. Ding.
Dong.
Dong.
Oh dear. Greg, talk us through this fight for you.
Oh my gosh, well, where do I begin? The thing is, it also, this one pretty much also started before we entered the arena. You have to imagine that, in the preparation for this fight, things are, quite hectic in the pits. And because things are quite hectic, sometimes some things are overlooked. And what happened for me was that apparently, and that's what I discovered during the fight, which is the worst time to find stuff out about your robot, that I didn't tighten down one of the drive motors well enough. So it sprung loose and tore out a wire. So that's why it lost drive on one side. Other than that, the fight itself, you have to imagine, I was solely focusing on what I was doing, and I could just hear on my right side stuff flying around the arena and stuff flying in the corner of my eye. So I knew that Dave was doing a good job at punching Catalyst around.
He was.
Yeah. But I also saw, and that's what I saw upon reviewing the footage, that merely seconds after I opened the pit, Spinawee went in. So that probably wasn't a really good tactical decision on my part. But
oh no!
So that is something to take into consideration for the future, perhaps. But all in all, what I was quite happy to see was that despite its shortcomings, Grab-A-Woo pushed both full weight beetle weights around the arena, and I'm quite proud of that. And also, of course, Spinawee flicking a full weight beetle weight to the ceiling. That was also very good to see. So
that was glorious.
To be fair, I mean, James is a great sport, great driver, and it's always fun to be around. So I wouldn't mind at all.
Definitely can confirm. So then we move on to the semi-finals, and first up we have Mini Spinny versus Bourbon. Are you too narrow? Do you need some width in your life? Call the Rory Charlesworth widening services to fulfill your widest dreams. Thanks for the tenner, Rory. Do you know who was giggling at the result of this battle? It was Jamieson Go. I'm going to tell you a little backstory to this. It's more for the listeners, because I'm sure some of the Roboteers know it, but for the listeners. So in season 1, Rob made a faux pas by saying that Bourbon was the first hex drum. What he meant to say was it was the first hex drum in the UK. But, there was a camera in his face and he flubbed. And not realising that Rob had flubbed, JMO was a little bit miffed because, it was him who built the first hex drum over in the US. But of course, I'm a troll, so I decided that world's first hex drum was going to be a running joke. So I quizzed Rob about it in the interview. He didn't know I was going to do that, and I didn't know that he was going to come up with such a witty retort to it. And then he kind of got karma for his witty retort because Mini Spinny made him very wide. Just oh dear, it's the widening. That's what this fight is going to be called. Dale, what did you think of the widening?
Yeah, I think Rory should rename it to Mini Splitty.
Oh dear.
Not a very good one, but yes,
Rory, we're sorry.
It's a good fight though, up to that point. Obviously, it's a shame it ended a bit too quick, but obviously, you destroy a robot, you win.
This is very true, and Mini Spinny is hitting hard this season. Greg, what did you think of this fight?
I think this fight was like the first proper testament to as to the power of how powerful Mini Spinny 2 actually was. I mean, people tend to underestimate Mini Spinny quite a lot. And it also showed in the polls that are held every week on Reddit. I mean, everybody was thinking it would lose its first fight against Cathalina. Well, everybody, I say, just more than half of the people. That first vote was quite split. But in terms of who would win the heat, Mini Spinny was not in the top 3. So people don't give it that much of a chance. And you could see during this particular fight with Bourbon that it is a machine to be reckoned with. It is a beast. And you should be frightened of it. And what it did to Bourbon's chassis was nothing short than terrifying, really. I mean, that's the best thing of what happened after this fight. I think it was the girlfriend of Rob decided to take the piece from Bourbon's chassis and straighten it out. Basically, Rob was holding the piece of aluminium that was bent in his hand, and his girlfriend went, "Oh, just give me that." She went away to the bathroom and she came back with a straight piece. So how did she do it? Apparently she used the toilet seat or anything. But that's just hearsay. I don't know whether this story is actually true, but...
Do you know, I heard this story as well.
Yeah.
I remember this. I heard this too. And I think Rob told me it. So I'm going to talk to Rob and find out. It's a little thing. Maybe next week on the Shuntcast we can reveal the truth behind this story. Remind me, Dale. So I'll go and talk to Rob and we'll find out if Rob's girlfriend fixing Bourbon by method of the toilet seat is true or not. If it's true, that's amazing. And I love it.
The one thing that I'm wondering, how did his girlfriend find out how to twist aluminium with a toilet seat? But that's a different matter entirely.
It's a very good question. I'm not sure I want to know the answer to it.
I'm not sure either.
We will move on to Jay versus Drizzle. Much like Daedalus versus Thunderchild last week, this was a battle of Spinner versus Wedge. Drizzle was kapow and kasplatting Jay all over the arena, but Jay was relatively unfazed until that last hit when it lost the wheel. Although Jay was only just mobile, the same hit made Drizzle faceplant and it couldn't get back up again afterwards. And, well, with no movement at all, it was counted out. And Jay goes through to the heat final. Dale, what did you think of this one?
I thought Jay was trying to steal Nate's thunder as the spinner killing Wedge. Thunder, child, yeah.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. Yeah, but yeah, it was lucky for Jay, really, isn't it? It's, I think, obviously, without that, obviously, Drizzle would have won, but, you know.
Just one hit on a brick too many.
Yep.
It is, of course, something, you know, that comes into the equation as well. I mean, going through a tournament, doesn't matter if it's an event or a show like Bugglebots, luck is also part of the equation. I mean, you've got the good kind of luck, and you also have the bad kind of luck. And if you have enough good amount of luck, then you make it through in fights like these, and it showed. But that doesn't really detract anything from just keep on taking the hits and keep on moving, which is exactly what Jay did. And in the end, Drizzle did its thing that we were hoping to achieve with WeeWoo, but we didn't manage, and that they would eventually faceplant. And so that is well done to Jay for accomplishing that, really. So yeah.
And there we go. Drizzle did a drizzle. Although after the WeeWoo fight, I had to update the Shunt posting dictionary. Then after the J fight, I had to unupdate the dictionary. oh, drizzle. So there we go. Mini Spinny versus Jay in the Heat final. Predictions well and truly went out the window for most of this season, but particularly for this Heat. For me, again, this fight was won by experience on Mini Spinny's account. Whilst Jay is certainly a little tank, it was just outdriven by Mini Spinny. Lost its wheels, and it was all over quite fast, unfortunately. But there we go. Dale, what did you make of it?
Yeah, I think it was just a case of Jay having an Achilles heel, or in this case, wheel. I'm not sorry. But yeah, no, it's unfortunate, really. Just the wheel with the weak point, and Mini Spinny knocked it off, basically.
It did. Greg, what about you?
Well, here, I think in this fight, you could see the difference in experience between the two robots, really. I mean, Mini Spinny made a quick battle out of it, and there wasn't any real doubt as to who would be the grand finalist. And once again, Rory showing that Mini Spinny is a terrifying machine. So, yeah, it is exactly something that you would expect, and yet I know that quite a lot of people were rooting for Jay at this point because it made its way through the losers melee, made its way past Drizzle. So who knows? People love an underdog story, and Jay was delivering on that in spades. So, but in this case, it was just one spinner too far, apparently.
It was. So this means we now have our lineup for all of the Rumbles, bar the Rumblebee. So in the Dung Beetle melee, we have Maximum Ogre Drive, Hold My Beer, Snappy, Sharks Attraction, Rev 4, Wide Boy, The Berg, Hello There, Catalyst, and WeeWoo. That's going to be quite chaotic. There's some there's a very diverse range of robots in there. Some that we didn't expect to see in there. Not least among them, WeeWoo, Ogre Drive, and Snappy. And for me personally, Catalyst as well. I did not expect to see Catalyst in the Dung Beetle. But there we go. It's luck of the draw, isn't it? And also Catalyst fainted. Wow, poor Catalyst. There we go. Greg, are you looking forward to the Dung Beetle melee?
Always. I mean, if there's one thing I can reveal about all of the Rumbles is that they were all absolutely awesome, and that people should definitely go see them when they come out because they delivered on entertainment as well. And even before the Dung Beetle melee, I was given the lineup, I was dreading it as well because you've got machines in there that were in season 1 were either Heat finalists or Grand finalists. So things were heating up already.
Definitely. You got some quite scary spinners in there as well. You've got the Berg, you've got Rev 4 if it's back working again. Ogre Drive is not to be messed with, and Spinner Wee is, oh my goodness me. Ooh, it's going to be chaos, but not as chaotic, I think, as the Second Chance Rumble, which features, my goodness, so many spinners. We have Sir Lancerfrog repping it for the Wedge crew, but we also have Halo, Gear Down for What, WeeWoo, Unconscious 514, The Apprentice, Daedalus, Annie Are You OK, Bourbon, and Drizzle. In the words of Tim Rackers, it's going to be utter chaos. Just if Greg, if you didn't know how this was going to go, looking at this lineup, what's your immediate thought?
My immediate thought is I was glad I didn't go out in the Heat semi-finals.
I can't say I blame you.
I mean, if you look at that lineup, it's just death. It is the rumble of death. There's only death. What does this rumble do? It does death. That's what this rumble does.
I mean, you've got Halo, you've got WeeWoo if he gets it repaired. You've got The Apprentice, Daedalus, Annie, Bourbon, and it just, oh my goodness me. It's like, you list a couple of spinners that already make you go, oh my goodness, and then you get onto like the other 4 or 5 of them. Oh my goodness. And so the winner of this Rumble will join Rust in Pieces, Phoenix, Lameheart, and Claws 2 in the Rumblebee. And the winner of the Rumblebee will be our 6th grand finalist. Oh, it's going to be exciting. But we're going to have to wait for that. And in the meantime, we are going to move on to the Shunt Posting Awards for Heat 5. First up, we have the John Reed Good Hit of the Night Award. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this was a little hard to do, but I think I've narrowed it down to 3. Okay, here we go. So the nominations are Drizzle Rains Down the WeeWoo, Drizzle Makes Jay Take Flight, and The Widening of Bourbon. Greg, you're our guest. I'll come to you first. Who would you like to vote for?
I would say Drizzle versus us, WeeWoo.
There's so many to choose from. It's almost impossible to narrow it down to which one. Oh, Dale, who'd you like to vote for?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with that one because I can't not go for Drizzle. I like it too much.
Ooh, I loved The Widening of Bourbon. It was hilarious. And if this story about fixing it with the toilet is true, that's just that's amazing. However, just on the basis that I had such a hard time choosing which one of the hits in this fight alone should be included, I'm going to have to go for Drizzle and WeeWoo. So congratulations, Drizzle! Woo! Woo! You get the John Reed Good Hit of the Night Award for Bugglebots Episode 5. That means we move on to the Salt Powered Robot Award. We have 2 nominations for this one. We have Jay wins the Redemption Rumble and Bob burns the world's first hex drum. Because his little line to Bob after Bob and Rob. Bob's line to Rob after that fight against Mini Spinny was ooh, oof. So, Dale, I'll come to you first this time. Jay or Bob?
I want to stay silent. Jay and Silent Bob. No.
Oh.
No. Yeah. That's my thinking noises. I'll go for Bob.
Okay. Greg, who would you like to vote for?
I would say Bob as well. Because I thought that burn was quite legendary, so it deserves its own praise, really.
I think I can't.
Even though Robert is a great guy, I love you, Rob. Love you, Robert.
He was a good sport about it, and there's that. There was no hard feelings, and we like that. So I'll make it unanimous. Congratulations, Bob. You get the Soul Powered Robot Award for Bugglebots Episode 5. That leaves us with the Shunty McShuntpost Award for the most memeable. And we have 3 nominations for this one. We have Make That Funky Bourbon a Wide Boy. I'm sorry. We have also the world's first hex drum and a proper ding dong.
This is no contest. No contest. It has to be the proper ding dong. I mean, it was lit. I knew when he said it, I was standing right next to him when he said it, and I knew that this was something to be remembered. So yeah, we'll go to James.
Dale, I should think you probably agree with him, don't you?
Yeah, I think we were saying it all weekend. Each other anyway, so yeah. Everything is a proper ding dong now. After Nellie's fights aired, of course, I talked to James, and of course I knew the results of Bugglebots and BattleBots at the same time, being on both. And so when Nellie versus Deep Six aired, I literally messaged James and said, mate, it was a proper ding dong.
I've got to make it unanimous. James would hate me otherwise. So congratulations, James. You're a proper ding dong. You get the Shunty McShuntpost Award. So then we move on to the member questions, the bit all the Roboteers love.
Yes.
Are you ready, Greg?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Dale will kick us off.
Here we go. Describe your time on Team Tie Rip, wink.
Oh, I know who asked this question. Yeah. Just for those of you who don't know, I mean, back when I was a teenager, so we're talking about, I think, 15 years ago, something like that. I was a member of Jeroen van Lieverloo's team on the second series of Dutch Robot Wars. And it was just nothing short of amazing, really. I mean, I hadn't done any work on the robot, so but at the time, you're just glad to be along for the ride, and it was just an absolute marvelous experience that I will cherish forever. So thanks to you for that.
Oh, that's so wholesome. Shunposting does wholesome. Question 2. What if someone says woo first?
Then I will say we next.
That's a pretty decisive answer.
But you never should jump the woo, of course, right? I mean, it's a general rule of WeeWoo, never woo first.
The siren would sound weird if it was
exactly.
woo-wee.
Yeah, that's another story actually. That was I can say this actually. This was right before at the start of the Dung Beetle melee. I mean, I was standing. As usual, we and Woo were standing next to each other, but we were sort of switched. And I wanted to get to the other side of Wee, and of course Shane became angry because he doesn't want bots moving around the arena when they're still loading in, obviously. And then I said, well, otherwise it says woo-wee, so then it doesn't make sense.
Oh dear. Oh, that's lovely.
Yes. Next question. What changes were made on the WeeWoo from last season?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. Well, I changed the mounts in such a way that the entire assembly is lighter. It saves some weight, and if you're building a cluster bot, which is half the weight of a normal beetle weight, then every gram spare is useful. So I was able to put that weight into a titanium base plate, which the previous anti-spinner woo did not have. So entirely, the entire assembly was just generally more solid, even though they look very similar. So that is the basic answer for that. But in general, most of the stuff from the new anti-spinner woo was pretty much the same. But that was one of the things that I did to make it a bit lighter, and also I changed the mounts behind the wedge to such a degree that they could be anchored towards the top plate, so there would be extra reinforcement as well.
Awesome.
Nice.
Your next question: is this a drill?
Most certainly not.
Is this a drill?
Well, I don't know. Probably not. Still.
That's good because I'm holding up a cup of tea. Dale.
Is this a drill? No. When featherweight?
I know who asked this question. Yeah, the thing is with people have asked me to build featherweight or go when am I moving to a different weight class, but the fact of the matter is that I enjoy beetle weights too much. I can load everything into a carry-on suitcase, which in my position is quite handy to do if you go to events abroad. I mean, this year, last year I should say, because it's not 2020. But in 2019, I had 3 events, and they were all in the UK. And then it's very handy to be able to fit everything, including tools, into a carry-on suitcase. So I probably won't be switching anytime soon.
There you go. Beetle weights are so accessible. You can put them in your carry-on case.
Exactly.
I have to go and get Agent Rara for this one. Sorry, hold on. Agent Rara! Agent Rara! Yes, what is it, moron? You have another question on Shunt posting. Okay. Hello!
Hello.
Your small spin hit very big. What powers the equal spin?
That's also a good question. The short answer is that, well, people know Daedalus at this point, and what is in Spinny Wii is like a smaller version of the same system that is in Daedalus. But it's only faster and smaller, of course. It uses a smaller motor, and it spins faster, but in general, the assembly is the same.
Okay. I report this to government. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Agent Rara. Dale!
Oh dear. Anyway, how much did it cost to build WeeWoo?
Ooh, all right, yeah. Are we talking then all of the robots combined?
It just says how much did it cost to build WeeWoo. So combined, I guess.
I mean, you have to imagine that right now WeeWoo consists of 5 robots. There's 3 Wiis and there's 2 Woos, and
oh, I love saying that.
So let's just say that each robot costs between 100 and 200 euros, which let's say okay, you need to do this in colonial money as well. Or imperial money, I should say. So
get away with your freedom money from Europe.
Yeah, exactly. No, I would say just over £100 each, but it really depends on which one you're talking to, because it bears without saying that building something like Spinny Wii is more expensive than something like one of the wedges, because there's just more parts involved. So I think in total, if you're talking about all of the Wiis and all of the Woos together, you're talking about a number which is in excess of £500, something like that.
That's still not bad when you think you can buy a heavyweight motor for £500.
Yeah, sure, but it really depends on what you want to spend, because on the new beta weight that I've built over the past few months, head for the exit, I spent probably about €300, and that is just new motors, things like saws, so servos. So it really depends on what kind of robot it is that you are building and what kind of weaponry it has. So
definitely.
And also, the reason why this is quite a tricky question to answer is that you're not spending all of this money at once. I mean, it's gradually something, and it becomes really depressing to keep track of. It
really does. Like, Puns and Roses never used to cost me any money. Like, I've had the same chassis for 3 years, right? But I'm building an egg beater spinner at the moment, and my costs have gone up significantly, and the primary reason being because I've gone brushless on it. I'm sorry, I've become a hipster. But yeah, and just the costs it's doing over the months, when you put it all together, it's why am I spending this money on getting it smashed up? Because it's fun is the answer. We love it and we're addicted to it.
Yeah, but it also just makes it difficult to answer this question. I mean,
very true.
I talked to Cosmin about this as well, and he had the same thing where we just stopped tracking the amount of money that you put in, because it becomes a little bit confrontational at some point. You think, I'm spending so much on it, why am I doing that? Well, you just do it for the fun of it, really. For me, I just enjoy building stuff more than I enjoy fighting, if I'm honest. So.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to try hard to get this next question right the first time. How many Wiis would a WeeWoo woo if a WeeWoo could woo Wiis? Yay, you did it!
Just one, I think.
Could you elaborate? Why just one?
It really depends on whether they have to be attached at the start of the WeeWooing, or they have to be separate, because otherwise you're talking about half of the Wii and half of the Woo.
I
I just made this question a lot more.
Those were words.
Those were definite words with
they were
punctuation
words.
and everything.
He's right.
Oh dear. Anyway, next question. Who looks better in the health and safety hat, Cosmin or Dave?
Well, actually, neither of them have ever worn the hat.
Dave Weston, I'm disappointed in particular. Like Cosmin, I can understand because he's very serious. But Dave, I'm sad. I need to see Dave in the WeeWoo hat. This needs to be a thing. Next season, season 3, my fellow producers, if you're listening, we need to get Dave in the health and safety hat.
Well, I'll talk to Dave. I'll probably get his own hat if he wants to.
Yes! Yes! Oh my goodness, matching hats. Yes.
So that's sorted then. If Dave wants to come along, then it's fine. But usually, I just leave it to what they find comfortable. I remember asking Cosmin whether he wanted to, and he seemed fine just wearing the high vis, and that's perfectly fine. I don't want to force things onto people. So that's what I did with Dave as well, just high vis, and that seems to basically become our uniform. It's just a cheap high vis jacket with something that I put on there with a biro, with a Sharpie, and that's it. And it just makes the point come across, which is all it needs to do, really, because it's the robots that need to do the talking.
And Dave brought his trademark spiky bracelet thing, wristbands even.
Exactly.
Bracelets. Yeah. So your final question is a little game we like to play on Jump Posting called Beat Defeat Judges. This is where you take your robot and you have 3 fights. One of them you beat your opponent, one of them your opponent defeats you, and one of them it goes to the judges. So your 3 robots are Halo, Rust in Pieces, and Angst.
Oh, so one I have to be defeated by, and one I have to. Okay. I would love, but we're just talking hypothetical here.
Yes, hypothetical.
I would love for us to lose against Halo, but it needs to be in the most spectacular fashion possible.
Oh yes, it needs to be a splatting.
It needs to be absolutely. I mean, I would want it to be like a 2-minute 45-second splat fest where there's 2. At the end of it, there's 2 half limping WeeWoos at the end of it, and that will just make people go completely bananas. So that would be awesome. To win, what were the other 2 machines?
Halo, Rust in Pieces, and Angst.
I've actually fought Angst with This Is Not a Drill, I think, but that was before he went brushless, I think. I would love to fight it again, but then on a judge's decision, I think. Just 3 minutes slugfest, slugging it out, and then I would love to fight Rust in Pieces and then win. Obviously, because we need to decide.
Be the superior clusterbot.
Oh, exactly. Yes. No. I mean, fair play to the boys from Rust in Pieces. I mean, they're brilliant sports as well, and it's I always, I looked at them and thought, okay, this is nice that people are catching on to the Beataway cluster idea. So it's very good to see. It warms my cluster heart. So it's good for Isaac and Edward to get on the cluster train. And I heard there was something coming that they might not continue in the future because they might be moving away to different towns, but I'm thinking, no, nonsense. You have to continue, guys.
They should do what you do, and one of them builds one, the other one builds the other.
They could exactly do it like that, but to each their own choice, obviously. Yeah. It would be either way. It would be great to fight them because we fought them at UE, but that was in a rumble against also Angst. By the way, we fought already.
Oh, there we go.
We fought against Angst and we fought against Rust in Pieces in the same rumble, even though Rust in Pieces was on our team. And then I think it was a rumble where we had the two Clusterbots, so us and Rust in Pieces, versus Attitude Adjuster from Scott and Angst. And as soon as we had disposed of the two Hammerbots, we just started fighting amongst each other. That was actually the very first fight of the weaponized WeeWoo. I think it's still on the internet somewhere.
Oh, it's a shame you're not going to UE. We could possibly have had that happen at UE.
Yeah, no, exactly. Probably some other time.
There we go. A battle to look forward to in the future is the battle for cluster supremacy between WeeWoo and Rust in Pieces. Well, Greg, that is the end of the member question section, and I'm afraid it's the end of the Shuntcast.
All right.
Oh. Well, thank you for being our guest. Do you have any last shout-outs before we go?
Shout out, of course, to Cosmin. I mean, he's a absolutely brilliant builder, and we wouldn't be where we are without him, because it's people like him that sort of make the entire sport go forward. So we are greatly indebted to people like him, even though everybody is afraid of him. So yeah, I mean, I hope that he stays doing what he does for a very, very long time. Also, shout out to Dave. I mean, he probably felt a little bit up against it, but he seemed to be enjoying himself at the event with WeeWoo, and he's already asked me whether he can drive Wii again. So we have to let that happen soon. Should season 3 come along. # we've won season 3, and of course also a shout out to all of the wonderful crew at Bugglebots. I mean, you guys have done so much, including you, Sarah, for the entire sport as well, giving us a platform to fight on. And I think we are also greatly indebted to you guys for providing it and putting in all the hours. Handling our consistent moaning about when it's coming out and when it's going to be released. I mean, you guys are putting in the hours in your own time, and nobody should ever complain about what you guys are doing, because you're doing a tremendous job, and it is more and more people who are seeing that. And I know that I'm not speaking just for myself when I'm saying that. I certainly hope that you guys will be giving this another go, just so that you can see a lot more nonsense and a lot more crazy antics from WeeWoo.
Yes, we love WeeWoo. Shunt Posting loves WeeWoo. Isn't that right, Dale?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely WeeWoo. That should be a
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Oh dear. Well, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid it's the end of the Shuntcast, so it's goodbye from Dale.
Bye-bye.
It's goodbye from Greg.
Bye-bye.
And it's goodbye from the Queen. Goodbye.